I am Josep Carner Ribalta, but I'm known by Pep. Everybody calls me Pep. My wife calls me Pep, my friends call me Pep, and my fans, if I have any in the literary field, call me Pep.
And how old are you?
I will be 89 in April.
What day? What day?
April 14th, 1898. I am an antiquity, but I'm still lively. I have written about 25 books, poems, novels, historical essays, and political books, and memories, and children's books, plays, and sundry styles. Some of them are still unpublished, but about 20 they are published already. And I have translated many English and American writers like Oscar Wilde, Joseph Conrad, Jean O'Neill, Rabindranath Tagore, and many of them, and Thomas Hardy, and Yeats, the Irish people. I just recently wrote the 3 adaptations of 3 Irish stories, one of them by Yeats, which I think give very much the idea of the Irish spirit. And I am still working, and I will never stop working.
Okay. And of all the books that you have published, do you have a favorite?
Well, of course, my favorite is my memories. I wrote a book of memories, my first book of memories, because my life is rather long and did not fit all in one book. So I have the second volume in print now. And this, of course, is my favorite.
And it's called Memories, and it's written in Catalan?
In Catalan, yeah.
Okay. Not in English?
No, not in English yet. In English,
how can I read it?
well, you'll have to wait a little longer.
A little.
A little longer. But in English, I have a couple of books prepared. One that is the biography of Gaspar de Portolà, who was the explorer of Catalonia, of California, and founded the Camino Real and the missions. I have the biography, and I have a lot of data of his historical period. And also I have a book in English that is called Catalonia and Its People, where all the history of Catalonia is there and all the new aspirations for recovering its independence.
To us in Catalan?
Yes, of course, yes. I have,
and then paraphrase it.
I have here precisely one of my books, which can be translated as the pleasures of life. And this poem is the leitmotif of this book, and synthesizes my life and my philosophy and my way of seeing things. Because I am a dreamer, and I am a poet, and I am an artist, I am a patriot, I am a whatever. So anything that is spiritual reaches me so deeply that informs all my life. And this poem, I think I got a synthesis of this. The poem says, I am that one that the pleasures of life has at the reach of the hand. Wherever I go, joy waits for me at her side. even if it is not only love, but crying. The joy in the world calls me, as she calls a brother. I am that one that the pleasures of life are at the reach of his hand. Now I will read this in Catalan because translation is impossible to translate. So I hope you will catch the Catalan accent and the rhythm. Jo sóc aquell que els gaudis de la vida té a l'abast de la mà. Arreu on vaig m'espera un goig sens mida, calgui riure o plorar. La joia que al món al seu costat em crida, com qui crida un germà. Jo sóc aquell que els gaudis de la vida té a l'abast de la mà.
Ah, that is beautiful. I wish I understood Catalan.
Is to be a Catalan. A Catalan is something so special because we have so many obstacles to prove our identity. See, we have been submitted by Spain for 200 years now. Catalonia has been a nation since the 8th century and has been independent for 2,000 years. And all of a sudden, 200 years ago, we had a war with Spain and we lost the war. And since then we have been, no matter what kind of government is in Spain, a republic, a monarchy, a dictatorship, everything is against the Catalans. Mm-hmm. We cannot teach our children in our language. We cannot write our books in our language. I have been, during the dictatorship of Franco, 40 years abroad and exile without being able to write my people, because my letters would be censored except if they were letters just talking about the weather. So my struggle and my fight is to devote all my life to identify myself and identify my country. And this has given a purpose to everything I have done, has this cachet. For instance, if I write a novel, there is always some person in the novel that brings up the subject. If I make a film, it's the same thing. If I write poems, it's the same thing. So my occupation in life is to be a Catalan.
You must have had this strong feeling about being a Catalan from when you were a very small child.
I was since I was very young.
And your mother
8 years, 9 years old. I remember there has been always a movement in Catalonia to recover our freedom and to recover our personality.
Your parents also.
And by 1909, I was 11 years old, there was a big demonstration of hundreds of people protesting because we wanted the home rule, at least. And I was so impressed that I cut my finger with something, and I wrote on the stone of my home, Catalonia. It was born in me, you know. And since then, I have been always in the movement, and I went to exile. I went and I was the secretary to our leader, the man that 3 years later was going to be the president of Catalonia. I was his secretary. But then it was too much for the Spanish. They killed the Catalan Republic, they killed the autonomy, and now we have a home rule, but has 51 articles. The Catalonia is a nation. The Catalan language is official. The Catalans will be allowed to teach the people in Catalan. the Catalans will have their own national guard. Now, but every 51 of these articles has the Catalans is a nation, but the Catalans have the official language, but they will teach them in the schools, but. And now we are in the but period. Every month that passes, one of these buts come as a realization. So now, to destroy the home rule, they did all right. The Catalans have a home rule. Now they made 17 other home rules in the rest of Spain that they mean nothing. They don't want it. They don't are interested. So the Catalans will not have their own thing. So in the schools now says, oh, the language, there is the Spanish is official. Everybody, according to the Constitution, has the obligation to know Spanish. Where have you been? Where are here? So every day it is like the Indian giver. They take us everything. So during your life, you go to prison continuously. You are beaten by the police. You are in exile. You cannot go home. You cannot write. And that's the life is a torture. For instance, then you have to have little vengeance. Your vengeance is a vengeance that does not make any blood. For instance, when Franco prohibited the Catalan in all Catalonia in the schools, suppressed 2,000 publications and everything, and said that the Catalan was a language only for the kitchen, for the home. I make a translation of Paul Valéry poems, which is the most difficult poet in France. I translated all his work, almost untranslatable, because it's so difficult a poetry that in no other language there is a complete translation like mine. And he said, this is my defiance to Franco. And this is the kind of war we are having every day.
How old were you when you were exiled?
How
old were you when you left Catalan?
Well, I left
after Franco?
I left it before. I left before.
Before Franco?
Twice. I went to exile twice. Mm-hmm. I went in 1926, no, 2023.
That was before the,
1923,
before the provisional
before
government?
there was a dictatorship of Primo de Rivera. We had a celebration of our national day, national holiday, like the 4th of July here. And the repression by the police was bloody. So we had to go because we had been killed. So I went to France. And I stayed until 26, when with my leader, we intended to make an invasion of Catalonia. We gathered about 800 young people and with arms, and we went through the border to provoke a rebellion in the entire Catalonia. But the French police discovered our plot, and we went to prison in France. Now, the second time I went back, 1931, when we had this home rule and this republic that lasted 3 days. So this republic lasted until 36. Came the Civil War. Again, I had to go away with my wife and a little boy. We went to France and then to Mexico. The boy, I left, our son was 1 month old. And we were married only 1 year, no? A little more than 1 year. And then we went to Mexico. Then from Mexico, we came here. And then in New York, I started a magazine called Free Catalonia to fight for the cause. And when the United Nations inaugurated in San Francisco, I wrote a request to consider the Catalan problem. And since then, this has been one of the things I am more proud, because I exposed before all the diplomacy of the world, the neatly clearly the case of Catalonia. And that is the object of my life.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me, what was your title under Macia when you worked in the government under Macia?
Macia.
Macia.
Macia, he was a man that he was a colonel in the Spanish army. And since the Spaniards always want to have a foot on Catalonia, one night the military in Barcelona assaulted the officers of a Catalan newspaper because it had published a cartoon, little joking about the Spanish army. So the response from the Spanish went to burn the printing plant of this paper and throw everything in the street and start a big disturbance. So this man, Macia, Francesc Macia, was a colonel in the army, and he did not to condone what his companions did. So instead, he publicly said that was a barbarity what they have done, that was something despicable, and he could not associate himself with them. So in account of this, he was expelled from the army, he lost his career, he abandoned his career, he did not feel any more bothered with his pals, and instead he joined the Catalan movement for autonomy at that time. Well, this man started a political career, and immediately he recognized that the solution for Catalonia or for any country that wants the freedom, autonomy is a misguidance. It's something most of the time is a snare. So he said, no, the people, Catalonia needs independence, as it was for 1,000 years. And he started this new program for independence, and all the youth, of course, we went immediately behind him. And when the dictatorship of one of the dictatorships came up, we had all to flee to France, even Macia. So when I was in Paris already, because he left the last one to leave, and he called me and said, I need you to be my secretary and one of my staff. So I joined him, and we prepared to continue this movement until we went to action, which we intended to invade Catalonia and promote a movement to pull down the dictatorship and proclaim our republic. Of course, this was very, very too much of a program, so it did not succeed. We were caught at the border by the French, and we were put in prison in Paris. We had a big trial, but all the French people, all the intellectuals, and all the lawyers, and all France came to our side, saying that we are heroes. And so instead of punishing us, they glorified us. And then, but we had to leave France because by the law we had to be banned from France because they were caught with arms in the hands, So then Macia and myself and some other of the staff moved for a trip to America, where all the Catalan clubs were in the movement, and they helped Macia and us to start again the same fight. And we had a big convention in Havana, in 1928 and compiled a Catalan constitution. So Macià went back to Barcelona and pick up all the people there, the movement that was dispersed, and came to an election, and he was proclaimed the head of Catalonia, and he proclaimed the Catalan Republic. So this republic, the Spaniards, because we forced the Spanish to proclaim the Spanish Republic too. But that we could not get together with the Spanish. So that Catalonia should not be a separate republic. And they fought and then everything, so we came to a semi-republic, an autonomy. And this autonomy has been falling up and going down all this time, and it's not yet a solution. And in this autonomy, I was at the site of Macià, and at the site of the government, the Catalan government, and doing mostly or creating the Catalan cinema, the motion picture, Catalan motion picture. I wanted to create the motion picture industry, and also the school of cinematography, and also the school for the cinema for the schools, and all the line, you know. And I created a studio. We built a laboratory, we built the school and everything, but then came again the Spanish Civil War, which Spain again could not tolerate that Catalonia was going ahead. So then we had to flee again.